what is there to know about ERS? You can change ERS in the driver instructions panel, and there are 5 options to pick from. But before we get to that, at the very top there are some information, blue and yellow numbers with a battery splitting them. The blue showing how much ERS you are using per lap, and the yellow is showing how much ERS you are harvesting. And in the middle there is a battery showing you how much ERS you have at the moment. You can also see the battery at a quick glance from the main panel. Now the 5 options you can pick from. You can see that overtaking, defend and deploy all uses the same amount of ERS but have different speeds or lap times. So how can this be, you might ask? Well, this is because if you use deploy, your driver will use ERS to get a faster overall time or a faster overall lap around the track. Using ERS to accelerate better out of corners, but overtaking and defending uses the same amount of ERS but a lot more down a single straight to get the overtake done or to defend instead of using ERS over the course of the lap for a better time. You can also hit the sub button and watch me live here on this channel. So I went into a practice and I tested the different ERS modes. As you can see on the screen right now, I used Lando Norris with the same car setup on new fresh tires for every single lap in clean air, in absolute clean air. Now, as you can see, deploy is the quickest. So that's the fastest, then it's overtake, neutral and harvest. Now, deploy is obviously the fastest because the driver uses his energy across the lap to get the quickest lap time, but that doesn't mean he will be able to overtake down the straight. That's why you have the overtake option. But using overtake over the entire lap, it's still quicker than a neutral, but it's not nearly as quick as the deploy. That's why overtaking is great for when you want to overtake, and deploy is great for getting the fastest lap or closing down a gap between you and a driver. Now, neutral, that's the one you're going to spend the most time on. As you can see, it's 134.9 and you're going to spend most of your time on this one. But look at harvest. It's a lot slower. It's almost, a second slower with a 135.7. And that's why you need to use your ERS sparingly, because you will lose time to actually harvest and get the energy back. And I will be showing you when to use your ERS later in this video. But that's the time difference between every lap for every ERS mode, except for defense, because defending is basically the same as overtaking. Now, starting from the top, let's look at what exactly does every option do. Overtake and defend is basically the same thing, and drivers will, with this option selected, will use a lot of ERS in overtaking zones, so down long straights and ERS zones. Now, deploy use ERS over the full lap to get acceleration after corners and get a faster lap time. Deploy is great for closing gaps, and if you need to get just a little bit closer to the driver in front for that nice DRS bonus. Neutral is the one you will be using the most, and this use and store the same amount of ERS or battery power throughout the lap. So at the end of every lap you will have about the same amount of ERS that you started with. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at how exactly to use your ERS. Now, you're going to use neutral the most of the time, obviously, right? That you will have the same amount of ERS at the beginning and at the end of a lap. We know that now, right? But now let's take a look at overtaking, right? If you activate overtake in the straight, you see it's not using any ERS now because you use it out of the corner. Now we are going up towards another straight now, and now we are coming into this long back straight, and now look at the ERS on the overtake. You see he's using more ERS now. Now this McLaren is so bad at the start of a season, but basically this is how you want to use it. Now we're going to the start finish straight, and he's using ERS. Now this is how you want to overtake. Now if I want to close this gap between me and Ocon, I will set it to deploy, because this way you will use it across the entire lap, and as we've seen, that gives the best lap time. So now we're going to close the gap. If you look at this, 1 second at the moment, and it's going to close. Look at that, already 0.6, 0.5. Now we do have DRS now, but he also has DRS. But look at how we are closing the gap now. Now that's how you want to use the deploy. Now if we go on to the next straight and I want to overtake Ocon, then we are going to want to use overtake, obviously, but we're going to use a lot of ERS or battery power for that. Now you want to set it a few corners before the actual straight. Now the next corner is into the straight, so we put it on now, and we go into the corner, and now it's just going to dump energy. Look at that, dumping. Look at all the energy is dumping. Look at that, and we get the overtake. But 74% is what we have left now. Now after the overtake, we turn it back to neutral, or deploy if we want to close the gap to Alonso now. So that now we're deploying, and the next corner is into the straight, so we turn it over to overtake. We go into the corner, and look, he's going to burn a lot of ERS. Look at that, a lot of ERS. This straight's a bit, there's no DRS, and the McLaren, like I said, is a bit bad, so we can't close the gap as much. But look, we're going into the start-finish straight now. We're still on overtake. He's going to dump a bunch more ERS. Open DRS. We might not have enough. But now, once you want to start to harvest ERS again, the best possible way to do that is when you are in a DRS train. This way you don't lose as much time compared to when you're just out in open air. And also what I like to do is when I'm harvesting is I like to push a little bit with the fuel. I push a lot with the fuel actually. Fuel management is quite easy. But now this is the way I recharge my battery. I set in a DRS zone, and that's also why you want to time your deploy to close a gap down between two cars. You want to make sure, well, you want to hopefully be in the DRS zone when your battery gets a little bit low after using deploy to close the gap, so that you can switch to harvest for a lap or so, and then actually get the overtake done. And that's basically it, boys. That's how to use ERS. The biggest problem at the moment with the ERS in this game and the way that it's developed and worked is that you use your ERS a lot different compared to the AI. The AI mostly just stays on the neutral mode. So when you deploy or overtake or anything like that, you use a lot more and you gain a lot more. But once you start to harvest to get it back, you lose a lot more time because the AI drivers doesn't really run out of ERS since they're only on neutral. So there's a bonus, a good side and a bad side. When you use ERS, you gain a lot, but when you harvest, you also lose a lot because the AI drivers never run out. Guys, I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye!